Let me tell you something that no school ever taught you. Not your teachers, not even your parents. The world you live in, the life you live right now, is a reflection of your thoughts. Yes, it all begins with a single thought. Dramatic pause. The man raises his eyes slightly, as if remembering his younger days. You may be sitting there thinking, my problems are too big, my time has passed. I'm not lucky like others, but the truth is, that's just a story. A story you've repeated so many times. You started to believe it. Text fades in over visuals. Change your story, change your life. I was once just like you, broke, confused, feeling like the world was moving ahead without me, until I stumbled across one truth. Success is not an accident, it is created, thought by thought, day by day. Inspiring background music rises slowly, slow zoom on man's face. You don't need money to begin. You don't need support. All you need is a decision. A decision that you are no longer available for the life you don't want. And from that moment, everything starts to change. Not the version others approve of. Not the mask you've worn to keep the peace, but the real you, the one who's been waiting patiently to be heard. You see, greatness doesn't show up in noise. It arrives in stillness, in honesty, in the quiet decision to no longer hide. You don't need more time. You don't need more advice. You don't need to be fixed. You just need to remember who you are, what you love, what you've always known deep down. But we're too afraid to admit, because here's the truth most never say out loud: the life you're searching for is already inside you. You've been carrying it all along, like a seed buried beneath years of fear and doubt and duty. And now you're starting to water it. Every moment you choose authenticity over approval, it grows. Every step you take toward discomfort, it grows. Every time you say no to what drains you, it grows. And every time you say yes to what ignites you, it blooms. You don't need anyone's permission to change your life. Only your own. There will be resistance. That's a promise, because the moment you begin to rise, the world around you will tremble. Not because they want you to fail, but because they're afraid of what your rising will mean for them. They'll question you, doubt you, maybe even laugh. Let them. Their voices are not your responsibility. Their fear is not your burden. Their limits are not your destiny. Your journey is not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. The version of you that believed, even when it didn't make sense. The part of you that kept going, even when it hurt, that quiet inner flame that refused to die out. No matter how dark it got, you owe that part of you everything. So when you feel the urge to shrink, to play it safe, to make others comfortable, pause, breathe. Remember who you're becoming. You are not here to fit in. You are here to lead, to disrupt, to shift the atmosphere just by being fully. They may call it selfish. They may say it's too much, but loving yourself fully, radically, deeply is not selfish. It's necessary, because when you stop abandoning yourself, you teach others how to do the same. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real reason you're here. To wake them up by first waking yourself. You were not born to be silent. You were not born to blend in. You were born to move something in this world. And no matter how long you've been asleep, the moment you choose to rise is the moment the world begins to shift, because one awakened soul can ignite 1,000 others. You don't need a stage. You don't need a title. You don't even need a plan. You just need to begin. Begin with honesty. Begin with courage. Begin with whatever little strength you still have left. You don't climb a mountain in one leap. You climb it one breath, one truth, one sacred yes at a time. So ask yourself, what have I been pretending not to know? What truth have I been avoiding because it scares me? And then go there. Because that is where your power lives. Power doesn't come from being certain. It comes from being willing to fail, willing to look foolish, willing to fall and get back up again, not because you're unbreakable, but because you're done waiting. The time you've spent doubting yourself, that was practice. The nights you spent crying in silence, that was preparation. Every step, every Scar, every stumble led you here. You are not late. You are right on time. You are not broken. You are becoming. Let that become your truth. Let that truth become your breath, and breathe it in, like it's the first breath of your new life. Because in many ways, it is from this point forward, you don't shrink for comfort. You don't apologize for your light. You don't explain. Your fire to people still playing with matches. You rise. You walk, you speak, you lead. Not from ego, but from alignment, from knowing, from presence. And as you do, watch what happens. Watch what falls away. Watch what opens up. Watch what becomes possible when you finally become you. You will lose people. You will outgrow places. You will let go of things you once thought you needed, but what you'll gain is worth everything. You'll gain clarity. You'll gain freedom. You'll gain a peace so deep, chaos will no longer shake you. You'll gain your life, your real life, the one that's been waiting beneath all the pretending, and you'll wonder why you waited so long. You see, greatness never arrives with applause. It enters in silence, when no one's watching, when the world is asleep. When you choose to keep going despite no recognition, that's when you become unstoppable. Not because of your results, but because of your resolve, the discipline to show up when it's hard, when you're tired, when nothing around you is changing. But you are. That's where transformation begins. Not in the grand gestures, but in the daily decision to believe, even when it would be easier not to. You start to move differently because your soul starts leading. You begin to say no to what drains you. You begin to say yes to what builds you, and slowly, you become the kind of person you always needed when you were younger. You don't seek permission anymore. You stop waiting for signs. You realize you are the sign, and your presence, your voice, your decisions begin to change things. You walk into rooms with a calm power, not to impress, but to express. To reflect the strength you've earned through every moment you wanted to quit. But and single quotes this is not about proving anyone wrong. It's about proving to yourself that the fire they tried to dim is still burning, and you don't need to be loud to be powerful. You just need to be real. Real with your pain. Real with your purpose. Real with the process, because authenticity has a frequency no one can fake. People will feel it. They won't know what it is, but they'll be drawn to it. Because truth is magnetic. And when you stand in your truth, you give others permission to do the same. That's how movements begin. That's how legacies are built, not by chasing fame, but by living aligned. So take up space, use your voice. Walk like you've remembered who you are, because you have. And now there's no turning back. And every time you rise after being knocked down, you build a quiet kind of confidence, not the kind that needs attention, but the kind that can't be shaken, because you've seen darkness, you've walked through storms, and still you chose light. You didn't let bitterness win. You didn't let fear become your home. You faced it and walked through anyway. Now you're not impressed by comfort. You're committed to growth. You've learned that some days will stretch you, some moments will break you, but those same moments will also shape you. You stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And started asking, what is this teaching me? And that shift, it changed everything. The pain became fuel. The delay became preparation. The failure became instruction. And now you carry wisdom that no textbook could give, not because life was easy, but because you stayed present in the fire. You didn't escape it. You endured it. And that's what made you rare. You understand now. The prize is not out there. It's who you're becoming in here. In your mindset, in your patience, in your ability to stay grounded when everything feels unstable. That's your superpower. Not speed, not perfection, but staying rooted in purpose when the noise gets loud, because storms don't shake trees with deep roots. And now you are deeply rooted. In intention, in clarity, in self-respect. And from this place, you no longer chase validation. You stand in your value. Not loudly, but surely. And people feel that. You don't need to convince them. You don't need to argue. You just live it and let your energy speak for itself, because power isn't in the volume. It's in the presence, and your presence now carries weight. And now you've stopped rushing. You no longer sprint through life chasing things, because you've learned what is meant for you will never require you to abandon yourself to get it. You walk with patience, with poise, with faith. Because you trust your preparation, you trust your resilience, you trust the timing, and most of all, you trust yourself. You stop proving. You started embodying. You don't explain your worth anymore. You demonstrate it in how you speak, how you show up, how you honor your peace. And in that stillness, you've discovered something incredible, that the greatest victories are often invisible. They happen inside. Like the day you chose peace over chaos, or forgiveness over revenge, or discipline over distraction. No one saw it. No one applauded. But that's the day your story shifted. The truth is, you weren't waiting on opportunity. You were waiting on alignment, because once your mind aligned with your spirit, once your actions aligned with your values, once your discipline aligned with your dreams, everything started moving, quietly, steadily, powerfully. That's the beauty of evolution. It's not loud, it's consistent, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. In the early mornings, the late nights, the decisions no one else sees. That's where strength is built. That's where peace is protected. That's where greatness is earned. So keep walking, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Keep building, not because you have all the answers, but because you have a reason. And that reason is stronger than your excuses. You've come too far to shrink now. You've healed too much to settle now. You've grown too deeply to go back now. You are not who you used to be. And you're just getting started. There was a time you doubted everything, your voice, your steps, your worth. But now, you doubt the doubt, because every scar taught you something. Every delay refined you. Every failure, it forged something stronger in you. Now, you don't walk with fear, you walk with fire, and it burns quietly. With purpose. You no longer beg the world to see your value. You see it, you hold it. You become it. Daily you've realized respect isn't something you demand. It's something you radiate when you stop chasing validation and start honoring your own energy. You stopped trying to be understood by everyone and started being understood by yourself. And in that silence you grew. You finally heard your real voice, beneath the noise, beneath the conditioning, beneath the pressure, and it whispered, "This is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is where I'm going." There's a peace that comes when you're no longer in competition. Not with others, not with time, not even with your past. You're just here, now, doing what must be done. And that's the secret. Progress is not a sprint. It's a rhythm, a flow, a discipline of presence. You no longer wait to feel ready. You just begin with shaky hands, maybe, but with a steady heart, because you've seen what happens when you move despite fear, when you show up despite pain, when you speak truth despite the pressure to stay quiet. That's not just growth. That's transformation. And listen, the path wasn't made for the loud. It was made for the committed. You don't need to broadcast your journey. The results will speak for you, because the man who walks with purpose doesn't need to scream. His presence is enough. Keep choosing that. Keep choosing you, the you that wakes up early, the you that stays focused when others drift, the you that walks away from chaos and toward clarity. That version of you is unstoppable. You didn't come this far to fold. You came this far to become, and becoming isn't loud, it's quiet. It happens in the early hours, in the lonely spaces, in the small private victories no one sees. It happens when you say, "No, not today," to the distractions, to the excuses, to the old version of yourself. That's where it starts, not in grand moments, but in simple decisions. The decision to stand up when it would be easier to lay down. The decision to breathe when the world pushes you to break. The decision to believe when no one claps for you, because belief isn't about evidence. It's about vision. You don't wait to see it. You build it brick by brick, step by step. Not overnight, but over time. And the truth is, you're already doing it. Every time you refuse to give up, you're winning. Every time you stay grounded in chaos, you're rising. Every time you act with purpose, you're building something unstoppable. Don't confuse stillness with weakness. Don't confuse silence with defeat. Don't confuse the grind with struggle, because this quiet dedication you're living, this is the climb. The breakthrough is not coming later. It's happening now. In your consistency, in your sacrifice, in your patience, and one day, someone will ask you, "How did you do it?" And you'll smile, because they won't understand that most of the battle was fought inside, where no one could see. You'll remember the nights you wanted to quit, but didn't. The mornings you woke up tired, but showed up anyway. You'll remember who you were and who you had to become to get here. Let the world sleep on you. Let them underestimate you. Let them doubt you, because you're not working for their applause. You're working for your own legacy. You're not here to impress. You're here to impact. You're here to lead, even if no one's watching. You see, every step you've taken in pain was not a step backward. It was a carving, etching the shape of the person you were meant to become. Pain is not punishment, it's preparation. Each scar, a certificate, proof that you stayed in the ring when it would have been easier to quit. Your doubts, they whispered you couldn't, but you answered louder, "Watch me." That whisper inside of you, the one that never goes away, the one that keeps saying you're made for more, don't ignore it. That's your truth speaking through the noise of your fear. They may laugh, they may mock, they may walk away. Let them. They aren't your map. They don't carry your vision. They don't wake up with your hunger. You've walked this far not because it was easy, but because you refused to stop. And now, even when the mountain seems too steep, even when the weight seems too much, you don't crumble. You climb because deep inside you there's a voice louder than the storm, a voice that says, "I don't break, I build." So take this moment. Breathe in your story, every tear, every betrayal, every lonely night when no one clapped but you still showed up. That's your armor. That's your proof. That's your power. You weren't made to follow. You were made to forge, and you don't need permission to be powerful. You don't need applause to keep going. All you need is the decision, "I will not stop." Not for pain. Not for fear. Not for rejection. Not even for time. You see, the man sitting in silence, the one they forgot, he's building something eternal. A vision. A legacy. A voice that will outlive the noise. And when it's done, they won't remember the noise. They'll remember the rise. They told you that the world was already built, that every throne was taken, that every great story had already been told, but they forgot one thing. They didn't account for your resilience. They didn't see the storms you'd walk through, with fire still in your eyes. They didn't expect that after being broken, you'd rise even sharper. You're not here to blend in. You're here to disrupt. You're not chasing approval. You're becoming undeniable, because you've learned comfort is a cage, and real growth, it lives in discomfort. It lives in the mornings when no one's watching. In the sacrifices no one claps for. You didn't get stronger by chance. You got stronger because life gave you no other option. And instead of folding, you forged. Every no they gave you became fuel. Every closed door became a reason to build your own. You've stopped explaining yourself. You've stopped waiting for someone to hand you what you've already earned. Because now you know you are the key. No mentor, no investor, no perfect timing. Just you and your relentless decision to show up day after day after day. You're not chasing a dream. You're becoming one. And that voice inside you, the one they said was too much, too intense, too different, that voice is your compass. Follow it. Even when it's lonely. Especially when it's lonely. Because all great legacies are born in silence, before the world is ready to listen. And when they finally do, they won't just hear your words, they'll feel your war, they'll see your rise. They'll know your name not because you shouted it, but because you lived it. You see, champions aren't made on stages. They're made in shadows. They're made in the silence between doubt and decision. The world doesn't give you greatness. It dares you to take it. And only those who keep going, even when there's no map, ever touch it. You've felt the weight of wanting to quit. You've heard the whispers, "You're too late. You're not enough." But something deeper kept you moving, not noise, not praise. Just purpose. That's what separates you. Purpose. The grind may be lonely. The nights may feel endless. But the vision? It's crystal, clear enough to carry you through every setback, every betrayal, every closed door. You've stopped measuring progress by applause. Now you measure it in silence, in the discipline no one sees, in the belief that never wavers, because when you build a foundation in silence, you create an empire that storms cannot shake. The world will notice eventually. But you've already arrived, and when they ask how you did it, you won't need to answer. Your work will, your life will, your presence will. You're not proving them wrong. You're proving yourself right. You've outgrown validation. You've outgrown fear. Now you walk with conviction because, you didn't come this far to only come this far. You came to break ceilings. You came to rewrite the script. You are the storm they didn't see coming, and your time, it's not next. It's now. You've walked through fire. But you didn't burn. You forged yourself. They'll look at you and say it was luck. But they didn't see the sleepless nights, the silent tears, the decisions you made when no one was watching. You didn't wait for a sign. You became one. Your journey. It was never about applause. It was about alignment. Alignment with the vision that kept you alive when nothing else did. So now, when you speak, your words carry weight. Not because they're loud, but because they've been earned. You speak from scars, from survival, from self-mastery. Look in the mirror. You don't just see a survivor. You see a leader, a builder, a warrior, a soul who refused to break no matter how hard the world tried. And now, you carry something no one can take. Clarity. Clarity of purpose. Clarity of identity. Clarity of direction. You're not confused anymore. You know what matters. You know what you're willing to lose to protect what you must build. This isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new standard. The old version of you, gone, dead weight, left behind. The new you, uncheckable, unstoppable, unapologetic. The next time they ask how you made it, smile. Because they'll never understand what it took to become who you are now. You didn't just survive. You evolved, and this version of you doesn't just dream anymore. You execute, you build, you lead, and now you rise.